Kia ora tātou whānau, ngā mihi o te wā. Welcome to this session, this video session on Porotiti and Pūrerehua. So I've grouped those two together because they're coming from the realms of the winds and the air. When we're looking at Whakapapa around the winds, we have many atua, a few that I know of. Where te ngāngana, that's one of the main ones. Tāwhirimātea, that everyone knows. Hine a whiowhio is another one. Those are winds that are more spiraling shapes. When we look at the particular whakapapa around Porotiti, and another name is Kuko, we're looking at Rangiraua ko Papa, Sky Father and Earth Mother coming together, ka puta ko tāne mahuta, hono, so the realms of the forest, hono kia hine titama, ka puta ko hine rau whārangi, and hono kia tāwhiri, kia hine rau whārangi, ka puta ko huruarangi, ka puta ko porotiti, ka pai. So there's the whakapapa there, bringing it down into porotiti. My grandmother used to play with porotiti, as I'm sure a lot of our old people did, when she was at school. So she knew them more as toys. When we're using them to make music, for entertainment, and when we're using them as toys for our tamariki to learn how to play, or even for ourselves as adults learning how to play them, then an appropriate name is porotiti. And remembering this is just my version and my understanding, so you might talk to somebody else and they might have another kōrero and another understanding and perspective, and that's very natural way. So ko pai tēnā, a kōrero or a line that I practice and share is that when I'm using the porotiti as a healing tool, because it's a very powerful healing tool, the porotiti, then I'm talking and naming the type of instrument then becomes kuko. And that's one kōrero and name that I've learned and come to experience. So porotiti is when I'm playing for an entertainment purpose, which can also be healing, but it's more on the intention and purpose of entertainment. And then when I'm getting into the more rongoa and hauora side of Taonga Puoro, utilising our beautiful taonga as healing tools again, reviving that, then the porotiti then becomes kuko. So this one here is made from pounamu. It's a beautiful piece of pounamu, and because this pounamu comes from Arohura, then that's the name of this kuko, kuko Arohura. And and then when I'm using, as porotiti, porotiti Arohura, ka pai, so koina tani ingoa, and two names there, right, two names. It wasn't, a lot of our old people had different names when they're changing in different phases in their life. So, it's very much in line with all, and all part of that as well. In regards to the porotiti and healing, and when we're using kuko, I'm going to just sort of demonstrate and show you what I might be talking about here. Just so you can sort of get an idea of the practice. And it's not uncommon knowledge or anything. There's a lot of kōrero around the porotiti being used, as kuko, as a healing tool. And these are experiences that I've had, personal experiences. So the first one I want to share is, and we'll start at the top of the tinana mai upoko, is when I had really bad flu quite some time ago now, probably 10 years ago, and I had really bad sinus blockage. So all these passageways in here were blocked blocked, and I tried to use some like medication, like the night and day tablets, but they weren't really doing much for me. And so I just sat for 10 minutes, you know, just really thinking about unblocking those. It was my intention, unblock all these passageways in here that's blocking me up and giving me really bad headaches. So I already used the kuko when I have like headaches, or sometimes if I'm feeling anxious from maybe overthinking. So I'm travelling around a lot and sharing the puoro a lot at home in Aotearoa and around the world, and so that of course involves a lot of organisation and planning, and sometimes that can get quite overwhelming. So if I ever need to calm down, and it's not just for that, it could be many things, then I'm just playing kuko in the places where I might be feeling the stress. Sometimes it's at the back of the neck here, you know, sometimes it's the temples, sometimes the taringa, sometimes, you know, the lymph nodes, yeah, below the ears, the jaw, sometimes, we can get very tense in the jaw. And so going back to the time I used kuko for the sinuses, I was only playing for about 10, maybe 15 minutes, and then the hupe or the blockage started to run out. So, and that really did free up that area and take away the pressure in the head, you know, from the sinus blockage. So lots of hupe coming out, and then I could, you know, go out and continue my day. So I've always remembered that, because that was when I was quite sick with that, and the sinuses were really hard to deal with. You can use kuko if you have any afflicted joints. So not so long ago I had a bit of a pokaru knee, where my knee was a little bit sore. I hit it on a chair, and yeah, and just playing over the top of the afflicted area just to helps promote, to bring in the healthy blood cells in for the repair. So it makes the repair faster, Other times I've used kuko is during the hapurutanga of our of mama, you know, of mum, when the baby was doing flips at night, okay, and the kuko just helped to calm baby down, to stop flipping, so mum could go back to sleep. So, you know, it was one of those waking up at 2 in the morning and the lights are on and what's happening? Baby's in there doing some flips, and then a bit of kurikuri, and just playing the kuko over the top of the puku there, just gently, you know, just to calm baby down, and then baby stop flipping, and mum could go back to sleep too. Yeah, mostly when I'm using kuko for myself, it's around like, I guess, a style of meditation, so it's in combination with breathing. And breathing is a big part of Taonga Puoro, obviously. Most, you know, a lot of the taonga are wind instruments and wind blowing, and so breathing's just a natural part, you know. And I know we all naturally breathe, but we're not all naturally thinking about and appreciating the breath either, and the power of the breath. So, and that's really simple. I just play the porotiti, okay, over my heart space. Yeah, so those are some of the ways that I use kuko. And then of course when it comes to performing and entertaining, and we do a lot of that too, going to festivals, sharing in schools, doing our own events, you know, like a multitude of different ways we can share Taonga Puoro. And I'm just going to show you on the machines, because you might not be able to hear it from there, because I want you to be able to hear the depth of the sound of kuko and porotiti. So this is what she sounds like amplified. Yeah, so just to give you an idea, that the sound you only really ever hear if you're right next to it. As far as the depth of the sound and the frequency of the sound in relation to healing, for me and my understanding and observing the practice of using kuko or utilizing porotiti kuko in this way, is that the deepness of the sound's able to travel through the body quite easily, and then really for me it's the miri of the toto and the cells, you know. So it's working on a cellular level, and it's quite simple really. What that sound's doing is going in and really recalibrating the cells wherever the area is affected. And so the sound will travel in through, say with an example of my knee, travel through there and just retune the cells, you know, because when we have sickness or disease, the dis-ease is the dis-ease of the cell. Okay, and so when we you know, when the sound goes in there, really what it's doing is the miri is the miri of the cells. And so when we're using our puoro in a healing way, which is most of the time now, we have come up with, or this name came forward, and it was oro atua. So oro is the vibration, and the atua is the natural world. The different atua, so you know, we've got pounamu here, okay, so we're bringing in that part of the nature world, and then it's singing and recalibrating to the natural part, or the atua that resides within us as well. So our atua is our putaia, or our natural world, but for me our atua also sits in the different parts of our body. So it's like bringing out the power of the nature, and it's singing into the power of the nature within us as well. Yeah, so that's kind of what it is in its most simplest whakamaramō understanding or explaining. So that's for the porotiti and kuko. Hapai. Now when we're looking at our pūrerehua, it's very much a similar thing as far as you know, what's happening with the vibration. So for me, pūrerehua is also in reference to the flitting of a butterfly's wings, and pūrerehua looks like the flitting of a butterfly's wings. You won't get a sound unless it's spinning. Okay, once you have that spinning, flitting wing, butterfly wing flitting shape or movement, that's when the sound comes. If it's just you know, it's not spinning and we're spinning it around and around, it doesn't make any sound, eh? And interestingly, the shape that this is making while you spin it around is almost like a spiral shape. And when we look at that symbol or shape, that's all throughout the patterns of nature and life, including our own DNA. So it's a very powerful movement. It seems very simple. The sound's it has a lot of depth again, like the porotiti. It's a very deep sound. And depending on the shapes and sizes of the different pūrerehua, it makes different sounds, and also what the material is. So this one comes from the baleen of a whale's mouth. Okay, the inside there. Some whales, particularly the big ones, they have giant, almost like giant toothbrushes in their mouth. They don't have teeth, when they come up and they swallow all those krill or swallow all the shrimp, they'll close the brushes down and they'll push out the water, and so all that's left is the kai. And so this one actually comes from some Inuit whānau in Alaska that I worked with. They gave me this one for me to be able to use inside. So it's a smaller one that we use inside. And I'm going to demonstrate that soon, and you'll be able to hear and see it. These two here I don't play very often. These are used for tangihana, this one. This is a black maire from the Mākotuku River. So it's very special. We only use that for tangihana, for ceremony around death. When our loved ones are going back down into the kōpua papatuanuku, back into the valley of our Earth Mother, back into the earth, that's when we play this pūrerehua. And our tikanga there, and it's, you know, once again, that tikanga has come from our whānau and in discussion and reviving some of these tikanga, or bringing the old kōrero and re-practicing them again. We use those ones as our loved ones are going down into the earth, and that's to lighten the spirit through the transition, because we've had our taonga te mate in our whare, and then we're walking into the urupā, and then there's a big transition there. Now it's time for you to go back into lay your physical body and papatuanuku, Earth Mother, mana tuanuku rei. This other one is pōhutu kaua, so that's a maire. This one's a pōhutu kaua. And I use this one when I'm going down to the moana for a pure. And so now we're going to look at the word. It's wetewete, whakawetewete ngā kupu, or to break up the word pūrerehua or pūrerehua, okay? So the pure for me is when I'm going for a pure or cleansing, to cleanse down at the ocean. That's different to going down for a swim, eh? And again, it's about intention and the different things that I'm doing when I go down there. It's a special time. Going for a swim is a leisurely time, it's a recreation. A pure or a cleansing down in the moana is different, okay? And so when I go down there, this helps to clear the way before I even get in the water, and for my karakia, when I'm on the one tapu, on the beach there, and before I go in for the pure. So it's like a clearing before I go in for a cleansing. And so this one's pōhutu kaua, and of course pōhutu kaua's quite often at the edge of the beach there, and just to acknowledge the power of the pōhutu kaua before I go in there. So yeah, pure is to cleanse for me anyway, pure, and then re'ua is a constellation, or star up in a constellation up there. And that's quite a significant one for our whānau, and particularly in the realms of ingoa and healing, and just the mātauranga and some of the knowledge that's been shared with me. So that's a special one for us. Then the pū, okay, is the activation. The rere, for me, the rere is the flight of the butterfly, but also the rere is the speed, you know, at which these are turning. These are spinning at such a high rate that there's probably not that many man-made machines that spin at that rate either. So you've got to be very careful of them, because they can, if they touch you while they're spinning and flying, they'll really do some damage. Yeah, so I'm going to play the pūrerehua for you, this one here that I got given from the Inuit whānau. So ours is in reference to the butterfly. For the whānau that gave me this one, they use it as in reference to a kaitiaki that particular whānau have, and that's the wolf. So they call it a wolf caller. Obviously in their language, not in English, but just so you know. And it sounds like this. Yeah, and that's the pūrerehua. I use this one just for my inside mahi, and at times where I'm from, we use the pūrerehua after hui. If it's gotten a bit, if the discussion's got heated, you know, we use the pūrerehua inside when we're using it inside to help clear and reset the air, you know, to clear the air, those expressions. That's how we can clear the air, was through, you know, our koreke a ruruku, and then coming through the whare with our pūrerehua. And those are just some of the kōrero and sharings around the multiple uses of porotiti, kuko, and pūrerehua. Ngā mihi aroha.